Hey guys, Rick with Rick's Adventures. In this video, I'm going to give you my first impression of the new Royal Enfield Classic 350 that I purchased last week. I took it on a short ride, and I will tell you what I thought of my first ride on it, so stick around. Hey everybody, Rick with Rick's Adventures. This is going to be my review of the Royal Enfield Classic, a first impression. Please guys, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. I really appreciate it. My first impression when I get on this bike is that it's very solid. It's a heavy bike. It's all steel. A few plastic components, but not like you get on all of your other brands like your Hondas, Kawasaki's, and so forth. It's made to be a classic type bike, so it reminds me of an old BSA Thumper. I purchased this with the optional engine guards and a set of Royal Enfield canvas waterproof saddlebags. You can see the controls on it when you're sitting on it. You feel like you're riding on old BSA or Triumph. The fit and finish are absolutely excellent on it. I can't see anything on it that looked like it was done cheaply, really, and that's surprising for a bike that I paid, somewhere around 165,000 baht for, or $4,600 USD. I hear these bikes, a lot of times people say that they feel like they're underpowered. Maybe they're used to riding sport bikes. I've got a big Harley. I've owned a Africa Twin. I've owned a couple of Kawasaki 1000s in the past. And yeah, compared to some of those things, they are underpowered. I look at the term underpower as like it doesn't have enough power for useful day-to-day riding, so I don't feel it's underpowered. I just feel like you're not going to go as fast as you are on a, Hayabusa or, one of the new Harleys that has a really oversized engine, or a Boss Hoss with a V8. I mean, we're not talking about the same category of bike. I'm looking for a bike here that's just going to be very rideable in Thailand for either myself and Tia. Now, I can tell you right now that my first impression of the power when I'm going out through the village, there is no lack of power for me. I weigh about 90 kilos, or around 200 pounds, and the bike is pulling me along just fine. I have no issues with it. As I go along in the video later on down the road, I don't remember if it's in this first part or not, but I pass several other riders. I get on a more major highway. It had at no time did I ever feel like I was underpowered and I was pushing my luck trying to get around another vehicle. I just didn't. Now, did I go as fast as somebody on a larger bike? No, probably not. But I was comfortable. I was very comfortable on it. The gear on it, whenever I shift it into gear and I bring it up, it reminds me of older bikes. I don't know, I'm guessing it may not have helical gears because it does have a little bit more of a pronounced clunk or click when you shift it, but I like it because it's a positive feeling to me of going into gear. No problems with it ever missing a shift or not going into gear. Just give it a nice firm uplift and it kicked right in without any issue. I felt like the gauges were excellent on it. They're right there. It's just an analog type gauge, and then down below it, it's got a digital meter to track your mileage and your fuel. On-off key with a lock switch. Very simple, very easy. On the right side, you have to start it and kill the bike. Your turn signals are located on the left. They aren't self-canceling. You need to cancel it yourself, which I do like that because my Harley has self-canceling turn signals in the States, and a lot of times I want to signal way before I get to something if I've got a lot of traffic, and the Harley sometimes will self-cancel before I want it to cancel. So this is more like my Africa Twin was. You manually, once you switch it on, you do a push in and you cancel the signal. So I prefer that. The speed, the engine has got a really good sound to it. It's that classic thump, thump, thump sound. It's got a chrome exhaust system on it. I got the model that has spoke wheels on it. It's just an all-around beautiful bike. And riding through the back roads of Koksala headed towards Charosin, the bike's just rides good. The suspension, I did notice whenever I took a dual up ride later in the evening with Tia, again, the power issue zero power issue with both of us on there. Of course, Tia is a very small woman, so it's not a lot of extra bulk, but we did go into a market and we picked up a lot of different things we needed at home, some food and some different items loaded down the saddlebags, and we were both on it and rode it back, and there was no issue whatsoever with power as far as my opinion went. I could run at the highway speeds with no issue. I could pass vehicles with no issue with us two up and with the saddlebags full. So no problems there whatsoever. These bikes literally just sip fuel. The average amount is what I'm reading, and what I'm also seeing on this first road trip is accurate. It's getting about 70 or 75 miles to the gallon. Of course, I'm not just racking it up through all the gears. I'm just riding at a normal back roads touring pace. I did notice the brakes on the rear brake. I had to give it a little more input than on some of the other bikes I've had, but since I'm more of a front brake user, I use the front brake because it's best for 80-90% of my stopping power. That's not a big problem. But I did notice that it seemed like the rear brake, you had to apply it pretty stiff to get some good feel out of it. It is disc brakes, both front and rear, so I'm not really sure what the issue is with that. I don't think it's a problem with the brake. It may be because the bike's new. And I didn't have to really stand on it, so I don't want to really elaborate like that was a big deal. It was just a noticeable difference to me from the front brake and from other bikes that I've owned. The mirrors, well, the fit and finish is really good. They worked okay, but I'm a pretty broad-shouldered guy, so I had to adjust them, and for some reason I just didn't quite like the positioning of them. I'm going to play around with that and see if I can get them to be where I'm more comfortable with them, but I can see to where a set of the rally type mirrors that you put on the end caps of the handlebars and the grips might be better suited to a bike like this, for a bigger rider, of course. Now, I think with somebody that's narrower shouldered than me, getting on at these mirrors would be more than adequate. I'm looking at trying to fit the bike a little bit better for my build and shape whenever I'm sitting on it. I'm about 6 foot tall, and the riding position for me is very comfortable. Whenever I come up and set at a stoplight, my feet, I'm flat-footed. I don't feel like the bike is top-heavy or off balance. The riding position is upright, which I like. It's better on my back. I don't notice it hurting my back. Like whenever I ride my Harley, it's got like a set of ape hangers on it. I tend to hunch my back over some on that, and it gets uncomfortable after a couple hours riding. I prefer this more upright riding position. I like it also, like it's similar to like you sit on an Africa Twin or some of the adventure bikes. They try to position you a little more upright. I think these classics have got that down pretty pat. It's been that way. Motorcycles used to all set that way whenever I was a kid. All the old Triumphs and even the Hondas whenever they first came out, and you were riding a Honda 350 Twin, and then they had the 354s and the 754s. The bikes had a flatter seat, and you sat up a little more on top of them in a more upright seating position. It's got mid controls, which I really like. I just am not a forward control guy. I feel like when you go down the highway, you have the air pushing on the soles of your feet, and you're fighting to keep it on the pegs. And when you have mid controls, like on this bike, if you get a little uncomfortable on the back side, it's very easy to shift your weight. With forward controls, it's much more difficult because, in my opinion, you're trying to pull on the handlebars, keep your feet locked on the forward controls, and shift your ass around. On these, it's just almost like a stand-up procedure like you're on a dirt bike. It's just very easy, and to me, it's a much more comfortable riding position. I'm going to go into some more details on the bike in another video, and I'm going to cut this one a little bit short because this is just my first ride and first impression, and I want to get a little more data and a little more input and feel, get a little more acclimated to the bike so I can give you some good input and good data on it. I will tell you this, I think that when I hear people talk about they need a bigger bike, in Thailand, I think this bike is just about perfect actually. You would not believe how many people have traveled all over Thailand on 125 and 150cc Hondas. So don't believe all the hype. You have to have some giant, 1,000 or 1,200cc bike to tour adequately in Thailand. You just don't. I think this bike is just almost the perfect size, actually. Well, for me, a 125 or 150 would be okay, and I would cruise all over Thailand on it. It would be a bit slow, and with two up on it, I can see to where it might be a little underpowered, especially if you were carrying anything. But this bike has more than adequate power. It's a good size, in my opinion. If you're from the Western culture, it's a nice style, and the Thai people absolutely love this bike. Every place I go, the first thing I hear them say is classic look. And they're not even talking about the model. They just like this classic, thumper look of a bike. So to summarize, I don't know about it mechanically. We'll have to see how it goes as I continue to ride it around here. But as far as the looks, the overall feel and function of it, I'm very impressed with it on this first ride. I can't see very many shortcomings. If they are, they're minimal and they're correctable, such as the mirrors I was talking about. And I think for cruising around Thailand, if you're going to go tour Thailand on the back roads, let's say, more of the smaller highways, and you want to be more of a scenic back road traveler, this thing's perfect. Now, if you're going to get out on some of the major highways that are leading into Bangkok, I can see to where, a bigger bike would have its benefits, just because traffic is just flat ass scary when you get to some of those areas. But I avoid those like the plague. I like to travel to places where I can take nothing but scenic back roads like you're seeing here. I'm not running that fast, and I can stop anytime I want, and I see a lot of cool stuff. You can see where I'm coming in through another little village on the way to Chao Sin here, and some of these villages I find very quaint. They're very interesting. You see some really interesting things, and you meet some interesting people, and when they see this bike, it's a real attention grabber. So far on my first trip, I can't tell you how many people came up to me and looked at it, wanted to ask me about it. I don't speak Thai, so we just end up with a thumbs up and an okay and a big smile, and how much they liked it, and double thumbs up. So it's a real attention grabber if you like that. I wasn't looking for that when I got it. I got it just because I like that style. But Thai people absolutely love these Royal Enfields over here. They like Hondas because Hondas are cheap. Those 125s and 150s you pick up for $1,500, $2,000. Honda gives them financing. It's very cheap transportation for them. So I understand that fully. So when they see these, though, they just go ape over them. Okay, guys, I'm going to cut the video here, and I'm going to get ready and go out on another ride. And this weekend, I'm going to go to Nakhon Phanom, along the border of Laos, and T and I are going to pack it up and just go for the weekend so we can kind of see how it works out for us. So this is Rick with Rick's Adventures. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. If you're out there riding your motorcycle or driving around Thailand, be safe and be careful, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Take care, everybody.